the Christmas Eve visitor. Snow fell like ash the night the visitor returned. Not the gentle kind that softened streets and hushed the world into something peaceful, but heavy flakes that struck the ground hard as if they had weight, as if they carried something down with them. By sunset on Christmas Eve, the town of Hollow Creek was already buried, roads erased, houses reduced to glowing squares trapped in white silence. Inside number 12 Birch Lane, the Turner family prepared for Christmas with forced smiles and trembling hands. The tree stood in the corner of the living room, tall and overdressed, its ornaments reflecting faces that did not look happy. The lights blinked unevenly, occasionally dimming for a split second too long, long enough to make the shadows crawl. No one mentioned it. No one mentioned anything anymore. Caleb Turner sat on the couch, staring at the fireplace. It hadn't been used in years. The chimney had been sealed after the incident, bricked up, plastered over, painted the same dull beige as the wall. No soot, no draft, no opening. Still, Caleb couldn't stop staring at it. Every few seconds, he thought he heard something behind the bricks. A movement. A breath. "Caleb," his wife whispered sharply. "Stop it." Martha Turner stood near the kitchen doorway, gripping a tray of untouched cookies. Her knuckles were white, her lips dry and cracked. She kept glancing toward the staircase, then back at the front door, then, always, away from the fireplace. "You're scaring Lily," she said. Caleb looked toward the tree. Their daughter sat cross-legged on the rug, carefully lining up her presents. Lily was 9 years old, thin, pale, her eyes too large for her face. She hadn't spoken more than a handful of words in months, but she was listening. Her eyes flicked to the fireplace, and then quickly away. "I'm not doing anything," Caleb muttered. That was a lie. He had been doing something all evening, listening. The clock on the wall ticked loudly. 11:12 p.m. Outside, the wind rose suddenly, hurling snow against the windows with sharp snapping sounds. Somewhere far away, a church bell rang. Once, then stopped abruptly, as if choked mid-note. Martha flinched. "Why don't we just go to bed?" she said. "It's been a long year." Caleb didn't answer, because under the ticking of the clock, beneath the howl of the wind, there was something else now. A sound that did not belong. It was faint, a scrape, coming from inside the walls. Caleb stood so abruptly that Lily jumped. "That's it!" Martha snapped, her voice cracking. "You're doing it again." "Listen," Caleb said. "I don't want to. Just listen." For a moment, there was nothing. Then, scrape. Slow, deliberate, as if something was dragging itself along brick. Lily covered her ears. "I don't like it," she whispered. The scrape stopped. The silence afterward was worse, because it felt expectant. Martha set the tray of cookies down with shaking hands. "This is why we sealed it," she hissed. "This is why we promised." A loud thud shook the house. The lights flickered violently, then steadied. The scrape returned, closer now. Caleb's mouth went dry. "It's not possible," he said, though his voice betrayed him. "There's no opening." Another thud. From above. From the roof. Lily screamed. Footsteps, heavy, measured, walking across the roof. Each step caused snow to slide down past the windows in thick sheets. Something up there was pacing, slowly, patiently, like it had all the time in the world. The clock ticked. 11:48 p.m. Martha backed toward the staircase. "No," she whispered. "Not again. Please. We did what you wanted." The footsteps stopped directly above the fireplace. Then came the bells. They were not cheerful. They were wrong, low-pitched, uneven, rusted. They rang once, twice, 3 times. Each chime vibrated through the walls and into Caleb's bones. Lily began to sob. The smell hit them next. Not smoke, not fire. Something rotten, sweet and wet and overwhelming, like meat left too long in the sun. It oozed into the room from behind the sealed fireplace, making Martha gag. Black dust trickled down the wall. The plaster began to crack. "No," Caleb whispered. The bricks bulged outward. Something pushed from the other side, slowly, enjoying the resistance. A voice spoke from inside the wall. "Did you miss me?" It was deep, layered, as if many mouths were speaking at once. Lily shrieked and ran for the stairs. The voice chuckled. "Oh, good," it said. "The little one's still here." The wall exploded. Bricks burst outward, scattering across the living room. Soot and dust filled the air as a massive shape forced itself through the ruined chimney. It did not crawl. It emerged, standing upright, unfolding. Santa Claus stepped into the room. But this Santa was tall, far too tall, his head nearly brushing the ceiling. His suit was not red fabric but dark, stiff material stretched tight across his body, stitched crudely in places, glistening faintly like dried skin. His beard hung in thick, tangled clumps, matted with blackened blood. Antlers twisted from his skull, scraping against the ceiling with a shrill squeal. The bells hung around his neck, strung with wire and bone. Inside his sack, something moved. "Merry Christmas, Turners," he said. Snow melted where he stood. The floor beneath his boots blackened and cracked. Caleb couldn't move. Martha fell to her knees. Lily screamed from the staircase. "Daddy!" Santa's head snapped toward her. The smile stretched wider. "There you are!" He dropped the sack. It hit the floor with a wet thump. The top split open. A small arm fell out. Then another. Tiny fingers twitched weakly. Martha let out a sound that wasn't human. "You promised me one every year," Santa said calmly. "And you failed." Caleb finally found his voice. We already gave you one," he sobbed. "You took our son." Santa tilted his head. "Yes," he agreed. "And then you stopped believing." He took a step forward. The house groaned under his weight. Belief, it turned out, was not optional. Santa raised a massive hand and pointed toward the staircase. "You still owe me." Lily's crying stopped. Slowly, too slowly. Caleb turned. Lily stood frozen halfway up the stairs, her face pale, her eyes dark. Behind her, something was standing in the shadows. Smaller. Watching. Waiting. The bells rang again. Midnight struck. And Santa smiled. The shadow behind Lily moved, not forward, not backward. It simply unfolded, peeling itself away from the darkness of the stairwell like a stain becoming solid. Caleb's heart shattered when he recognized the shape. A boy, thin, too thin, bare feet blackened with soot, hollow eyes staring out of a face he had memorized and tried desperately to forget. "No," Martha whimpered. "No, no, no, no." The boy tilted his head. "Hi, Mommy." Ethan Turner had been 6 years old when he vanished. Christmas morning. No footprints in the snow, no broken locks, no open doors. Just an empty bed and a house that smelled faintly of ash. They told the police he must have wandered off. They told the neighbors they didn't know how it happened. They told Lily only a baby at the time, that her brother had gone somewhere far away. They told themselves it was an accident. It wasn't. Santa laughed softly. "Oh, look at you," he said. "Still pretending." He reached out and placed one massive hand on Ethan's shoulder. The boy flinched, but didn't pull away. "You gave him willingly," Santa continued. "You lit the candles, you sang the song, you opened the wall." Caleb dropped to his knees. "We didn't know what you were," he sobbed. "They said you were just a story." Santa leaned down until his face was inches from Caleb's. "Stories are how I survive." The memory tore itself free. 10 years ago. Christmas Eve. Snow heavier than it had ever been. The power out. Ethan sick with fever, burning hot in Martha's arms. The town elder, Mrs. Holloway, standing in their living room whispering urgently. "He comes when the town forgets," she said. "And Hollow Creek forgot years ago." "What comes?" Caleb asked. Mrs. Holloway pointed to the fireplace. "The collector." They laughed then. Until the bells rang. Until the footsteps walked across the roof. Until the smell came. Mrs. Holloway had screamed at them to act quickly. "One child," she said. "One willing offering, or he takes what he wants." They argued, they cried, they hesitated, and the thing inside the chimney pushed back. Ethan had looked up at them through fevered eyes. "Mommy," he whispered, "is Santa coming?" Martha had broken. She kissed his forehead and opened the wall. Back in the present, Martha collapsed fully, forehead pressed to the floor. "We kept the promise," she sobbed. "Every year we believed. Every year we left the lights on. We never moved away." Santa straightened. "Yes," he said. "You stayed." He stepped closer to Lily. "But belief fades." Lily's eyes were fixed on Ethan. "Why didn't you come back?" she asked quietly. Ethan's mouth trembled. "I did," he whispered. "Every year. I was right here." Santa's grip tightened on the boy's shoulder. "But you never looked." The sack twitched again. A sob echoed from inside it. Then another. Santa kicked it lightly. "Your town used to be generous," he said. "Children lined the streets. Chimneys were open. Songs were sung." His eyes darkened. "Now they lock their doors." Caleb forced himself upright. "Take me," he said hoarsely. "Take us. Leave her." Santa looked almost amused. "Oh, I will," he said. "But not like that." He snapped his fingers. The lights went out. In the darkness, whispers filled the room. Children's voices, crying, begging, singing broken Christmas carols out of tune. Cold fingers brushed Caleb's face. Martha screamed as something crawled over her back. Lily clutched the banister, shaking. The lights flickered back on. The living room was full. Children stood everywhere, in corners, on furniture, hanging from the ceiling like ornaments. Their eyes were empty holes, their mouths sewn shut. Each wore a tag around their neck. From Santa. "These are the forgotten ones," Santa said proudly. "The ones whose parents stopped believing. The ones who hid their chimneys. The ones who lied." He gestured to Ethan. He was special. He was loved. Ethan looked down. "I still am," he whispered. Santa's smile vanished. The bells rang violently. Santa grabbed Ethan by the hair and dragged him forward. "Love doesn't save you," he snarled. "Only tradition does." The children in the room began to scream, high-pitched, unbearable. Lily clamped her hands over her ears. "Stop," she cried. "Please stop." Santa turned to her. At last. "You," he said gently, crouching so his face was level with hers. "You still believe?" Lily nodded, tears streaming. "I leave cookies," she said, "and milk. I sing the songs." Santa inhaled deeply. "Yes," he said. "You do." Martha looked up, hope igniting. "She believes," she whispered. "She believes enough." Santa's gaze never left Lily. "Yes," he agreed again. Then he smiled wider. "But belief requires proof." He pointed at Martha. "Choose." The room went silent. Caleb screamed, "No!" Santa's eyes burned. "One," he said calmly, "to remind the town." Lily sobbed, "I don't want anyone to go." Santa's voice hardened. "Then everyone goes." The children took a step forward. Their shadows swallowed the walls. Martha crawled toward Lily. "It's okay," she whispered. "Mommy will fix it." Caleb grabbed her arm. "Martha!" She looked at him. Her eyes were calm, too calm. "We already did this once," she said. "We can do it again." She stood, walked toward Santa. "I'll go," she said. Santa's antlers scraped the ceiling as he straightened. "Willing?" he asked. Martha nodded. Santa placed a hand on her head, and she screamed. Her body folded inward, bones cracking like snapped twigs, flesh shrinking, twisting, until she was no longer an adult. A small figure lay twitching at Santa's feet. A little girl, with Lily's face. Caleb howled. Lily collapsed. Santa picked up the child gently and placed her into the sack. The screaming stopped. Santa tied the sack shut. The children vanished. The room emptied. The lights returned to normal. Only soot and broken bricks remained. Ethan stood alone now. He looked at Caleb. "I'm sorry," he said. Then he faded. Santa moved toward the fireplace. "Next year," he said over his shoulder. "Remember better." He stepped back into the chimney. The wall sealed itself. The bells rang once, then silence. Morning came. Snow melted. The town woke. Number 12. Birch Lane stood quiet. Inside, police found Caleb Turner sitting by the tree, rocking back and forth. Across from him sat Lily, silent, holding a bell. That year, Hollow Creek remembered. Every chimney was opened. Every light was left on. Every family gave thanks. Because belief, after all, is paid for in blood. Hollow Creek pretended nothing had happened. That was the town's greatest skill. By Christmas afternoon, smoke rose from chimneys again. Laughter drifted across porches, and carols played on every radio station, as if sound itself could overwrite memory. The Turner's house stood silent, cordoned off with yellow tape, but no one lingered near it. No one asked why Martha Turner was missing. No one wondered why Lily Turner hadn't spoken since midnight. They remembered. They just didn't say it out loud. Lily sat at the kitchen table of the Holloway house, feet dangling above the floor, hands folded around the bell. It hadn't stopped ringing since the night before. Not audibly, but in her head it rang constantly, soft, slow, patient. Mrs. Holloway watched her from across the room, old eyes clouded with something like relief. "You did well," the woman said. Lily did not respond. The bell was warm, not metallic, alive. When Lily touched it, she felt things, memories that were not hers. Snow-filled rooms, crying parents, chimneys breathing, children shrinking and folding like wet paper, names whispered and forgotten. She saw Santa standing in the dark between worlds, vast and waiting, his sack never empty. She understood now. Santa did not take children. He was given them. "You are the last Turner," Mrs. Holloway said carefully, "and the first witness in a generation." Lily looked up slowly. "What's a witness?" Mrs. Holloway swallowed. "The one who remembers everything, so the town doesn't have to." That night, Lily dreamed of the sack. It was endless inside, longer than space, deeper than earth. Children sat quietly in rows, eyes hollow, bodies small and cold. They did not cry anymore. They were waiting. Ethan sat among them. He smiled when he saw her. "You'll do better than they did," he said. "I don't want to," Lily whispered. Ethan's smile faded. "Neither did I." Christmas ended, winter deepened, and Hollow Creek prepared. They called it the renewal. Every December, on the longest night, the town gathered beneath the old church, where the bell tower no longer rang. Candles were lit, names were recited, not of the lost, but of the living. Children were counted, belief was measured, and Lily stood at the center of it all. She grew quiet as the years passed, not withdrawn, focused. She learned the old songs, the ones that hurt to hear. She learned how to carve symbols into wood and brick, how to mark chimneys so they welcomed rather than resisted. She learned which families lied to themselves and which ones truly believed. She learned that Santa could smell doubt. On her 10th birthday, Mrs. Holloway brought Lily into the church basement. Behind a locked iron door stood shelves. On the shelves were bells, hundreds of them, each one different, each one labeled with a name. "These are the witnesses before you," Mrs. Holloway said. "Every generation, one remains." "What happens to them?" Lily asked. Mrs. Holloway didn't answer. She didn't have to. Lily's first Christmas as witness was the hardest. A family on the edge of town had sealed their chimney. "They moved here recently," Lily said softly, reading the signs. "They don't know." Mrs. Holloway shook her head. "He doesn't care." Lily closed her eyes. She rang the bell. That night, Santa came early. She felt him before she saw him, pressure in the air, gravity bending inward. Snow fell upward. Time slowed. He stood outside the house, taller than ever, antlers crowned with frost-bitten ornaments. The sack dragged behind him, heavier now. "You've grown," he said. Lily did not look at his face. "They didn't mean to forget," she said. Santa laughed. "Neither did your parents." The house screamed. By morning, one child was gone. Lily added a bell to the shelf. Her hands did not shake. Years passed. Hollow Creek flourished. No children ever went missing unexpectedly, because nothing was unexpected anymore. Families left offerings without being told. Chimneys were kept open even in storms. Songs were sung with real fear behind the joy. And Lily watched. Always Lily. On her 16th Christmas, Santa stayed longer. "You understand me now?" he said. She nodded. "You need witnesses," she said. "Not believers?" Santa's smile widened. "Yes." "Why?" Lily asked. Santa leaned closer. "So the world can pretend I'm a myth." When Lily turned 18, Mrs. Holloway died quietly in her sleep. No bells rang for her. The shelf gained one more. Lily took her place beneath the church. She wore red, not the bright red of wrapping paper, but a deep, dark shade like dried blood. The bell around her neck chimed softly with every breath. The town gathered, children counted, belief measured. Snow began to fall. A man stepped forward, new to town, fear in his eyes. "My daughter," he said. "She's sick. She keeps saying she hears bells." Lily met his gaze. "She does," Lily said. The man broke. "What do I do?" Lily closed her eyes. "Love her," she whispered, "until he comes." That night, Lily stood alone in the Turner house. It had been rebuilt, the fireplace restored, the walls smooth and welcoming. The bell rang once. Santa emerged effortlessly, soot sliding from him like skin. "You've done well," he said. Lily nodded. "I want to ask you something." Santa waited. "Do they ever stop screaming?" she asked. For the first time, Santa hesitated. "No," he said. Lily took a breath. "Then take me instead." The bells stopped. The air froze. Santa stared at her. "You know what that means?" he said slowly. Lily nodded. "No more witness," Santa said. "No one to remember?" Lily smiled faintly. "Then they'll forget you." Santa studied her. Then he laughed, a long booming sound that cracked the walls. "Oh, little witness," he said gently. "That's not how it works." He reached out and placed the bell in her hands. "You don't end the tradition," he whispered. "You become it." Lily screamed as the world folded inward. Bones bent, skin tightened. Her body stretched and darkened, antlers tearing free from her skull, bells embedding into her flesh. Memories flooded her, every child, every scream, every chimney. She felt the sack open behind her. Endless, waiting. By morning, Hollow Creek was silent. The church burned, the bells rang wildly, snow fell thick and heavy. On the roof of the Turner house, something massive walked slowly, deliberately. Inside, a new witness sat by the tree. A small boy, eyes wide, hands clutching a bell, Mrs. Holloway's last student, waiting to remember. If you hear bells after midnight, if the snow falls too heavy, if Santa comes early, remember this. Christmas is not about belief. It is about keeping the promise. And the promise is never finished.